Welcome to the Vocal Lab podcast with your hosts Shelby Rollins and Jason Catron, bringing you the best from the music industry. Get ready for first-class conversations packed with exclusive techniques and transformative insights, all designed to help you reach your top note.
I feel like I want to open up this episode by acting like Barbara Walters interviewing somebody on Dateline or whatever show, 2020.
2020?
Yeah.
How would you do that?
I don't know.
First, you'd have a glow. Can we put a glow around Shelby's head? Barbara Walters always had that glow around her head.
And you could be
Do you remember
in
this?
the dark so that your identity is concealed.
That's what we should have done. And my voice is disguised. Wash, 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 wash.
Are we actually
That would
filming?
be epic. Yeah, we're filming. That's on there.
We can keep that.
That's on there.
Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Shelby. Never done this before.
Yeah, you're in the hot seat today.
Is this so?
All about Jason. It's like in preschool when it's your turn. It's like the all about me day, and you get to fill out the cute little piece of paper of like your favorite color and your favorite food and what you want to be when you grow up. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it like preschool, but deep and emotional.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Excited to see what you pull out.
So, why do you feel like God put you on this planet?
Whoa, we're going there right out of the gate?
It's like the 40-plus-year-old version
Oh
of
my
what do you want to be when you grow up?
gosh. Yeah, that is crazy.
I actually think our listeners are going to appreciate that. Just going for it.
Why do I feel God put me on this planet?
Yeah.
First, you're assuming I believe in God.
I know you believe in God. I know you well enough.
Excuse me. I mean, first and foremost, to love people. And that's the hardest one, probably.
All those people out
All
there.
those people, man, they can be real hard to love.
Yeah.
But yeah, to love people and to, I kind of approach it three facets. Love people, which also includes loving myself. That took a while to figure out, but got there. And to make beautiful things through art, through music, through creativity. I took a while to figure out. I always knew I wanted to be in the creative life and do music. But again, that took a while to figure out fully. And then really to live a life of adventure, because we only get one. And I don't think we're on this planet to be so bogged down, burdened, heavy labored.
Yeah.
I've always felt like I was supposed to be European. Two things. I always felt like I was, as a kid, I always felt like I was taken from a hospital in California. I just really connected with the California lifestyle. Always loved California, spent time out there.
You lived out there.
What?
You lived out there.
Yeah, so I did that.
Yeah.
But I've always felt very European, aside from the
Elaborate.
the American part of the hustle and drive, which it's just ingrained in us here, right? But
Yeah.
just their take on life. It's just so. There's something beautiful about how. Again, this is a broad brush of European life, but they tend to value community and family a little more than we do.
Yeah, in a slower pace.
It's slower pace. They value. You've heard the phrase in America, we live to work,
Yeah.
and in Europe they work to live.
Yeah.
Working there is a means to enjoy experience and community, and typically they'll do that a month at a time every year, and they'll go to the south of France. And they don't, by and large, the majority of them don't have to have 5-star hotels and 5-star dinners and all the things every night.
Right.
Or on this vacation. They go for the experience and the culture.
Yeah.
And that does include the food and the space and place and the community and the music and the art that is there. So to me, I've always really valued that in Europe and Europeans. They also they still tend to admire art more than we do as Americans. I think we're getting a little better at it, especially around the area of like food. We've always admired music, but you know, classical music still thrives in Europe more than it does in the States. And not saying that's the pinnacle of art, but it is a pinnacle of music.
Yeah.
So, you know, those things, they value old things. We tear them down.
And you are an old soul.
And I'm an old soul.
And you also prioritize a lot of travel. And a lot of that is work related. I think most of your trips.
Most of my trips are work
to do with
related,
work-related,
but I
but-
also have built a life around that.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, a lot of people when they hear me, I get this a lot. They're like, I'll say, oh, I travel a lot. And they're, oh, that must be a bog, or I'm sorry. Because they picture what I do maybe as on a plane with my computer, same sterile hotel, go to a meeting, have a same sterile dinner at this sterile hotel, get back on the plane, go to another. Like, that's not what I do at all.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting to do really, in most cases, like really fun, experiential things in amazing places with amazing people.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a beautiful life. And so, a long way around to the point, love people, create beautiful things, and have an adventure doing it all.
Yeah. I love that.
That's kind of my mantra to life.
Yeah. I think, you know, the evolution of life and how it all obviously changes as we go along. When you were a little kid, you've talked before our prophylactic episode.
Oh, yeah.
You talked about how you were like the bubble boy
Yes.
when you were a kid because of all of your allergy issues and stuff like that. How do you feel like, I don't know, do you remember when you were young like that, having certain dreams about your future? Maybe not really, really little, but when you were old enough to actually think about your future, what did you picture?
For sure, probably similar to you. I mean, you know, I started singing when I was 2.
Yes, the little old lady that gave him $1 at the Baptist
thrust
church.
onto stage. And so that became a big part of what I did.
Yeah.
It's probably around 6 or 7. I threw a tantrum to my parents because I wanted them to, they didn't even know what I was asking for. I just knew I wanted to do it. I wanted to be in the Vienna Boys Choir.
Vienna, like Italy?
Yeah, the boys choir.
Okay.
Right? Because I saw it on TV and I was like, wow, that's so beautiful.
Was
and
this
cool.
part of like the midnight mass that you would watch as a child?
Probably so. Probably so.
Like Christmas time?
I had no idea
Oh my
where
gosh.
Vienna was, but I wanted to do that. But, you know, and as a kid, you probably did the same thing. I watched all because I gravitated towards it. I would watch artists do live concerts. I watched music videos.
Yeah. We were
And-
of the MTV
Yeah,
generation.
MTV. And I watched the award shows.
Right.
So early on, I knew that I wanted to do music, and I had big dreams and aspirations of getting that Grammy Award, or, yeah, I mean, it's really the Grammy.
Yeah.
But it was probably, I think I don't remember exactly, I was 8 or 9. My dad had some meeting, he was a mayor, so he had mayor meetings, and there was a big one every year we'd go on. Mayors would come together. I don't know what they talked about.
Mayor things.
Mayor things. And the entertainment for this conference was, I assume it was for the conference, we went to the Tony Bennett show. And it was a live concert, Tony Bennett. And
That's cool.
no, it was cool. It's the first concert I remember that hit me. Like, this is...
It like struck a deep
It
chord
struck a
inside
deep
of
chord.
you. Yeah.
My
Pun intended, I guess.
my parents, especially my dad, loved music. So my parents, my sister who's older, exposed me to early on to big artists like Prince and
Yeah.
Luther Vandross and Tina Turner. Like, people I would never. I mean, I was too young to go to these shows.
Right.
But she's like, he needs to see this. She knew I love music, did music. So very thankful for that. My great aunt, who was like my grandmother, would take me to shows. So she was taking me to see, like, she took me to Aretha Franklin with a symphony. She took me to
Wow. You got
Wayne Newton.
I mean, you saw
She
some
took me
real
to
artists.
Tom Jones. No, we're talking like legit,
Yeah,
legendary
legends.
legends, right?
Yes.
And most of these were like, I mean, they were past the prime of their career, obviously, but in the fullness of what they did. Like I just said, oftentimes they were with orchestras. And so it was this Tony Bennett show that I was sitting there. We had really great seats pretty close. And, you know, as long as I've been alive, and you have, he's always looked the same. I mean, he's just passed a couple years ago, but he always looked like old Tony Bennett, never young Tony Bennett. And so here I am as a little kid. I'm just sitting there. I was like, wow, this dude's so cool. He's so old, but he's so cool. And it was just him in a 3-piece. There were no lights. There were lights on the stage. It wasn't like a dark concert. That'd be weird. But they just had the standard lights that were in the theater.
Excuse me.
There was no video boards. There was no dancing. It was just this old guy, a piano, an upright bass, and a drum kit. And for him to hold my attention as a small child for an entire show,
right,
and me to just be afterwards like, wow.
Yeah.
That moved me so much. And I think it was one of the earliest memories that I definitely had of like, I want to do this. But there was a deeper fiber that struck inside of me that really became clearer throughout my musical journey, to where today, anyone I work with, I still say to this day, if you can't sell one song with just you and a piano and nothing else, you need to keep working at what you do.
Yeah.
Because there is an art to moving an audience of 1 or 1 million. And I mean, I'm just a big believer. It gets easier when you can have all the bells and whistles.
Right.
Because they're just more.
They're helping.
They're helping. But for you as an artist to stand there and command that attention, that's what really, it's one of the pinnacles of being a great artist, I think.
Yeah.
And so that stuck in me. And it's a root and an anchor that I'm glad was like, there.
That was
wow, that was
You're cut off. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Little buzzer there went off.
That's so funny. But yeah, so that's me.
We've talked in other episodes before about doing the creative thing for the right reasons, not just for the accolades. And we think that that's the big dream of what we want. It's the award. And sometimes that's what stirs or kindles the flame when we're young, of maybe movement, right? It's like, this is maybe my end goal, so I'm going to move toward it. And then it's the whole journey. Like, it's the most cliche thing ever. It's not about where you end up. It's about the journey along the way and all that. But that actually does begin to feel more and more true the older that we get. Part of that, I think, because life is fleeting. And then part of it is, excuse me, I keep having to drink water. Part of it, I think, is we have these life experiences where you do get something that you were working towards.
Sure.
And then you still recognize that there's something missing internally, right? It didn't fill your cup the way you expected it
100%,
to.
yeah.
Right? And so you have the dream when you're young of the Grammy. You had that when you were young. And then now, you were speaking to like your life purpose, and Grammy was not in the top, those 3 things that you listed. So what do you feel like was a shift for you, if you could identify one of, and I know that it's a process, but what was the shift for you of moving from the end goal to experiencing the life journey?
That's a great question. I think part of it is I've done all those things that I set out to do, just not specifically to what I was thinking they were. So meaning, I have toured around the world as an artist on stages of great halls and doing some really fun, cool things and singing at some really big places. And in front of really important people and with really important people. So the touring component, I've done it and I still do some of it.
Yeah.
Right. I have won some awards. I haven't got the Grammy yet. But I've gotten some really cool awards with the group Tenore in Canada, where I'm from, that I remember accepting that first award and walking up on that stage. I was like, whoa, this is what we didn't even think we were going to win. We had no concept of winning because you had these three guys in this pop crossover classical kind of group. Like, especially new artist of the year that year, we weren't supposed to win that. And so it was really shocking.
Yeah.
But to walk up on that stage and to accept that award, that was fun. And so, yeah, it's not been a Grammy. I still dream of a Grammy.
Yeah.
You know? But I got to experience all those moments I dreamed of in a different way.
Yeah.
But still the same thing. And yeah, it shifts over time. Like you said, as we get older, I think the biggest change in that has come through coaching and mentorship. Because when you, and this is all so cliche, all this stuff, but life has to happen for you to really get the fullest understanding of the meaning behind all these big cliches, right? And so
Right. They are cliches for a reason.
they're for a reason, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's you know, it's the reality of early in your career or your life, you're so me focused. You don't even know how big the world is. You don't really fully understand the deep pains, hurts, and struggles of people around you.
Yeah.
We're just having fun. You know, we're growing up being kids and we go to college to do these things. We're still dreaming of these careers. We're trying to figure all of these things in our life, all we want. But wow, when you start to coach and mentor people, it takes that focus off of you and puts it on others. It's the same thing as when just serving someone else, even if you're not coaching. If you just volunteer your time at, you know, the local homeless shelter or soup kitchen or an animal shelter, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it changes how you see yourself in the world. And so through that mentorship, I think it really helped in a beautiful way. It helped shift my focus on just me doing big things to helping other people do their big things. But the beauty is, through that process, I've done the biggest things I've ever dreamed of doing.
Yeah.
Because coaching, and I say this every day too to people, coaching, and I will forever thank Brett Manning for pushing me to do this. And I know you think the same thing.
Yeah.
Coaching has opened the doors to everything I've ever dreamed of doing in my life currently, and I know beyond. Because not only does it do the things I just said, it's also a deeper connecting point to a lot of different facets of music and life in general too.
Yeah.
Right? You intersect with people more.
I love how you describe it as less of a like limiting factor of this is what I do and I'm hemmed in, but more of a door that opens into even more, you know, through the serving lens, right? Not through the me, and let me see what cool person I can coach.
It's all through service. And everything I do, you know, the hardest question I always get, I think it's a hard question for everyone at some level, because we don't like to just write out, say what we do. And I think one of the biggest things for any artist to get comfortable saying is, I am an artist.
Yes.
That is a big statement.
Yes.
It's easier to say, oh, I sing. That's a little casual throw off.
Right.
And like everyone sings at some capacity, right? In the shower, the car, whatever.
Or even say, it's easier to say I sing than it is to say I am a singer.
Oh, 100%.
It's an identification marking.
Yes.
It's so different.
For sure. And so that's still hard for me to say at times, because I am an artist. You're an artist.
Yeah.
We work with artists. That's still, I will pause or pivot from saying that so often when I get the question.
Same.
And I'll fumble. But in the reality is, I am an artist, and my greatest strong points are I am a performer and I am a mentor. And through that, my vehicle has been music and continues to be music. And the places I get to go with that are so varied and multifaceted that makes it fun and adventurous.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm so, I guess the reason I'm saying all that to you is like, I'm so thankful that my journey has led me to where I am today. Would I do some things different back in, looking back, we all would.
Sure.
You know? But I'm so thankful for where I am today. And these little, what seemed like forks in the road, but really weren't. They were just clarifications on my path,
Right.
again, like saying yes to coaching, that have made life really full and fun. You know, again, still goals. We both have them. Still dreams of fun things and big things. And, you know, the creative mind just keeps doing its thing.
Yeah. It sounds like, though, you got to, because you're saying I got to experience some of these big goals that I had. And then you get them, and it was great. Nothing wrong. And I think because you're a healthy human being, you didn't feel some sort of internal lack or like emptiness after achieving some big thing
100%.
because your identity wasn't tied to it.
That's it.
But you got the thing, you were able to enjoy the thing, and then also go, life isn't over. I have still, okay, what are we doing? What's the next step? What's tomorrow? The next step of the journey, you
And
know?
I think that's part of it
keeping
too.
going.
And you would agree with this. We, in the creative space, I have to constantly remind younger artists that just because you're 24 and you haven't landed your record deal yet, it's not over.
Yeah.
There's still this, it's way less, I think, than when we were at that space because, in all honesty, it was a little more true then. You really
Yes.
did have to be a young artist for
You
the
did.
labels to pay attention to you.
For sure.
Now that is out the door. There's always a few spaces on their roster for that because that's still the young pop star is a thing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But we live in an age now that anything can happen to anyone at any time. And it's why I love shows like AGT, America's Got Talent.
I was just
the
thinking-
guy that just won, he was a janitor. He's in his 60s.
Wow, no way, I didn't know that.
Right? And
Who was
he's
the very first winner, that British girl?
Susan Boyle.
Yeah, like I think
Love
she was
Susan
such a
Boyle.
pioneer.
She was, right? So, and that's
break
just
the
off
mold.
one show.
Yeah.
We could point to artists who have blossomed later in their career. Take a Sia. You know, she didn't find fame as Sia until her early 40s.
I didn't know she was that old.
I think she was like 40, 41 when it happened.
When she
She's-
like the hair in front
the
of her
hair
face
thing,
and all that
yeah.
kind of stuff?
Yeah. If I'm not
no idea
mistaken.
she was-
Okay, y'all could check that. I
Yeah,
might be.
fat.
48 right now.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So like late 30s, early 40s.
I love
Yeah.
that. I'm here
No,
for
it's
that.
amazing,
As somebody
right?
in my 40s, I appreciate
Totally.
that. Way to
Well,
go, Sia.
and-
I thought she was younger than me.
And here's the point. If we get wiser and smarter as we age, hopefully, most of us, right? Those of us who are focused on growing, and as a coach or a mentor, you should always be focused on growing yourself if you're trying to grow other people. So if that is our focus and our drive, it would make sense that if in every other discipline or industry of life, almost every successful creation and inventor and every successful business person has happened past their 50s, right? Of all the major companies. If that is true of that, how can it be different for the arts and the creatives?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
It's not.
just it's the nature of humanity that as
Yeah.
we grow and we grow with wisdom, we age and stuff, like you would have more creativity to offer as you age, right? Because you've lived so much more life. And if you're creating great art in your 20s or your teens, like that's amazing. What a gift. Think about how compounded that could be 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, if you just keep at it and keep creating more and more great art.
Totally. And now we live in a space where the art that we've created is so easy to expose to people.
Right.
We don't have to have just that one track to get it out there, like
Right.
a label or a
Yeah.
publishing company or whatever. Like the world is big, and so are the vehicles to get your art there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's to me, it's we talk about Cheryl Porter a lot, just casually, right?
Yes.
Because we're
Off camera, probably.
Yeah,
I don't
off
know if we've
camera,
ever
yeah.
brought her up on the
I don't think
podcast
we
before.
have.
She's a famous
We
coach.
reacted to one of her things one time on the reaction side of things, but just blown away by the explosive growth of her as a artist, a coach, and a human,
Yeah, as a brand
and
as
as
well.
a brand, right? And obviously
She's a delight.
she's delightful.
I love to watch her.
I love to watch her. I want to meet her.
Yeah.
You know, she just brings joy to people.
I have a lot of respect
And
for her as a coach, too.
for sure. And there's something really fascinating about one of the biggest brands on and channels on YouTube is a vocal coach.
It's crazy.
She's
when you
bigger
think
than
about
the
that.
artists she works with,
Yeah.
right? Except for maybe one or two.
Yeah.
And she sings, and she put out a new record. She did a Christmas song last year with Hoda and Jenna. Like,
Oh, I love that.
I mean, like, and so she too would be sitting here. Cheryl, come join us. We'd love this.
Oh my gosh,
She,
please.
Right? She too would be sitting here saying the same things we're saying and telling us similar stories,
Right.
like we're sharing with each other, of her own journey of wanting to be an artist. And look where the adventure of life has brought her.
Right.
And wilder than she could have ever dreamed.
Right.
And so, yeah, I still, that's what I wake up and get excited about every day. Most
love it.
days. There's days I don't, of course, right?
Did you ever feel like, I know,
There are days, people.
we do have to adult sometimes.
Well, there's
Do you
also
ever-
just like, I don't want to do anything today. I feel real down in the.
I mean, it's true. If maybe it's the
sticks.
40s of midlife crisis type of stuff. I get more existential now than I used to sometimes. But do you feel like there is a sense of deeper identity in who you are that has played a significant role in not being like finding identity in an achievement or an external identity as an artist, as a singer, as this or that, this type of person, but like really just Jason. You know what I mean? And that's not a very clear question.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're saying.
But did you ever, maybe I'll reframe this, did you ever have a experience of idolizing the goal and it left you lacking, where you felt more like tied to the identity of the person who gets the thing? Do you know what I'm saying? Or has that never really been an obstacle? And you felt like a disappointment, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know that I ever really have felt that, to be honest. I think, not to say there's not been disappointments along the way or things that didn't happen that I really dreamed of wanted to happen. But by and large, most things I've set my mind to, I've done at some capacity.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why, again, case in point with this new record that I'm doing, I really hope to have this finished in 2025.
Yeah.
I started it in 2020.
I remember.
It's half done. It's hella expensive. That's why it's not done.
Yeah.
But I haven't given up on it, and I know there's a purpose behind it. Don't know what that really is, but I know there's a purpose connected to it, bigger than me. And I continue to just wake up and keep believing that the full record will be finished. And that's kind of the way I've always approached everything. And my dad really helped instill that in me early on. And so for the most part, again, there have been some potholes along the way where I've gotten some, deep in the dumps about some things. But for the most part, I've lived my life by this: God is for me. There's a path for me that's only mine. No one can take that away except me not walking forward into it. And trust that.
Yeah.
Don't get too bent out of shape about, have goals for sure. Go after them. Keep dreaming and, envisioning creative things you want to do. But trust the process and know that it's perfectly for you.
Yeah.
Whether there's a Grammy or not, whether there's, playing the rhyming or not,
Yeah.
whether there's singing with Dolly or not, whatever
You're
these
gonna
things,
say
right?
Dolly.
Yeah. Whatever these things are, right? Like, whether they happen or not, you keep dreaming, keep going down the path, and through that process, again, just love people and enjoy doing it. Because I just see too many people, you do too, we work with too many people that just get so twisted and bent out of shape and depressed, and joy is stolen from them because they allow it to be, because they're focused on some tangible thing
Yeah.
that they think is the thing,
Right.
that when they get it really isn't anything other than a thing.
Yeah, that you can't take with you when
Can't
you
take
die.
with you, right? And so just stay focused on that and let life bring to you what is yours. I know that that's probably a 50-50 rule in the world we live in. A lot of people probably just know I'm going to drive and push. I'm going to take, I'm going to get, I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
I can't make anything happen other than waking up and putting 2 feet in front of the other.
I love that you're not attaching anything to the outcome. But what is then, I have a question, because you've mentioned it maybe twice, of like, I'll have days where I wake up and I'm like, you know, down in the dumps. What does get you there? What triggers the bad days for you? You know, what are
inactivity,
self-sabotaging kind of things?
Inactivity, because I'm a very active and social person. So I definitely know how to rest now. It used to be really hard for me. It used to be hard for me to be alone. I'm okay to do that now. But if I have too much downtime, I start to feel kind of inadequate or unsuccessful is probably too big of a word, but I'm going to use it here because that's what's coming to mind. But like, I just feel like I'm kind of failing for today.
Yeah.
And so I have to remind myself, no, it's okay to not have a million things today.
Yeah.
You know, and you need to like just trust. I mean, I'm sure our great-grandparents didn't have a million things to do every day.
No.
I mean, they farmed probably, or
When the world
worked,
was so much smaller.
Simple.
I think that's important to think about. When the world was so much smaller, the goal in life was not like achievement.
Yeah.
It was providing for your family.
Yeah.
And like loving people.
Yeah.
You know, it was so much simpler. And we've overcomplicated so much of that.
100%.
And there's nothing wrong with the evolution and technology and all the things that have grown over time, but it is sometimes harder to see the forest for the trees.
Sure.
Of the meaning of life.
Yeah.
And all of that.
Yeah, no, that's so true. But I think that's the thing that'll probably get me in a little funk.
Yeah.
That, or, you know, every once in a while, some deal that I've been working on won't go through. That can set you back. You have to push through that. That's all of us. Or if I really feel like I've let someone down, that can make me feel just really gross and, you know?
Yeah.
But even that I have to work through because that's the people pleaser in me. You just want everyone to be happy and have a good time.
Right.
You know, that's not always life either. So those are probably the 3 big triggers for me now in life that I'm just trying to manage whenever they happen.
Yeah.
But by and large, I pretty much stay pretty positive and.
You are a positive guy. You're a positive energy.
Again, my dad gave me that, so.
Nice.
I think we need more of that in the world.
You're totally right. We do. Okay, here's a less heavy, intense question because I really came at you guns blazing.
You sure did.
What's your favorite childhood cereal? Oh. Like, you don't have to eat it anymore. I don't eat any of those anymore, but I have a favorite.
You know what my favorite was? This was real bad. I'll tell you a story.
Of course there's a story.
I had 2 favorites. Captain Crunch, because it is so good.
I still, like the moment you said that, I could taste it in my mouth.
But not the kind with berries. That was weird.
Oh.
I like just plain Captain Crunch. I remember y'all remember Planet Hollywood, right? The restaurant?
Yeah.
They had Captain Crunch chicken tenders. It was the best
Or they were like breaded and crushed up Captain Crunch cereal.
Oh, so freaking good. Chick-fil-A should bring that back. But
hilarious.
Captain Crunch and Fruity Pebbles. I love Fruity Pebbles.
I like Fruity Pebbles, but they got soggy in like 30 seconds.
They sure did, but guess what else they did to me?
I don't know. Do we want to know?
Yeah, they gave me stinky toots. And I remember we went to this small church in Kentucky, and for a little while, my dad drove the church van. This is all coming back to me. I haven't thought this in forever. And I remember one day I snuck and ate some because I loved them so much.
You snuck in where?
Out of the cabinet. Like, I wasn't really supposed to have them. Occasionally I could get them, but I snuck and got them, and this church bus ride stunk so bad because of me.
You ate Fruity Pebbles, didn't you?
Here's the best part. This was an old church, right? And it had wooden pews, and we always sat right up front. And in the middle of the service, I remember this clear as day. In the middle of the service, I bent over to pick something up, and I let the biggest on that wooden church bench. Oh my gosh. I felt so embarrassed. My mom was devastated. So the Tooty Pebbles.
Oh my gosh. I don't know that as a mom, the Tooty Pebbles. That's a great rebrand.
Yeah,
right
the
there.
Tooty Pebbles. Man, I love me some Tooty Pebbles still this
Oh my
day.
gosh.
But they don't do that too many more. I haven't had them forever, but
Well, then how do you know?
well, we should try that next
I
time.
don't know that I want to be on that episode.
Next time we do an
That we
episode,
try
some
it out.
podcasts, we're
We'll
gonna try
put
it.
Carlos in here when you do that.
Gosh, I remember when I had the because I also love like Rice Krispie treats. Oh, so good. I don't like the cereal. That's boring as heck. But
Yes, because it
I
doesn't
like-
have the marshmallows.
yeah, it doesn't have any flavor. But that Rice Krispie treat's so good. But do you remember the first time you had like a Fruity Pebble Rice Krispie treat?
I don't remember the first time, but yes.
That's tasty treat too. Yeah.
My favorite childhood cereal, since you didn't ask, was Count Chocula.
Oh, I did like Count Chocula too.
You can still get it. I was actually at the store the other day and I walked past it with
Yeah.
one of my kids.
There was Count
And I
Chocula.
said that was mommy's favorite. I think it was my
Frankenberries,
youngest.
And there was a third
Yeah,
one.
Count Chocula though, all the way,
Yeah.
purest. It was the chocolate, those
The boo. There
chocolate
was a
chalky marshmallows.
there was a booth something. Booberry.
Oh yeah. I walked past
How do
it
we remember this so
the other
good?
day because it's out for I think Halloween, because you can still buy that stuff. And it was kind of a niche, it wasn't always in the grocery store when I was a kid, but it was my favorite one. And I told Brooks, my 5-year-old, I was like, that was mommy's favorite cereal as a child. No, I will not buy it for
Well,
you
and
because it's
to be fair,
terrible
no,
for you.
totally. To be fair, when we were growing up, we did not really know how bad these cereals were for
No.
us. Now it's like,
Also, though,
there's cereal's so bad for you.
but we are old enough to be able to go, when we were growing up, they had fewer ingredients on the label and they actually weren't as bad as they currently are. The
Yeah.
whole stuff, this is now a totally different topic, but the whole, have you seen this? All these influencers are getting behind this one particular influencer who's in the natural space who was like, you do realize that the stuff that they're putting in cereals for kids have known carcinogens,
Yeah,
are
totally.
banned in most developed
Most
countries
countries,
except
yeah.
for ours.
Yeah.
And they're really actually terrible for you.
No, it's so
and they
true.
weren't that way when we were kids.
No, it's just that
And
was
so
a
then it was
easy
like
breakfast.
Kardashians are like, I am boycotting whatever the cereal was. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And they're under fire. They're on all the major news networks and whatever. So
Yeah.
in all fairness, they weren't as bad when we were kids.
No.
They're real hot roadside garbage now. but,
Totally.
Sorry, I have
Did you
real
ever
strong
eat-
opinions on that. Somebody just got real offended.
Yeah. Did you ever eat grape nuts?
Grape nuts, yes. That
What?
are neither grapes nor
Nor
nuts.
nuts, but they break your teeth. This
They
was the
do.
worst. It's
There's-
the worst.
there were grandparents'
cereal in the
cereals.
world. Yeah, grandparents ate.
My
worst
grandparents ate
cereal in the world.
grape nuts.
There was a guy in my college fraternity. Have I told you the
Put
story?
sugar
I've
in
told
the
you this
cereal.
story before.
My grandparents poured
Yeah, sugar.
actual sugar
A
into
cup
the
of
cereal
sugar.
with the milk because they tasted so bad. But
Yeah.
I don't know, fiber. Maybe they thought we were being
don't know.
healthy when we ate.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there.
Oh gosh,
I've told you this grape nut story before, right?
I don't think so.
Maybe I've told it on the reaction stories. Reaction. Carlos knows where this is going. Well, since
Well,
you
tell me the
haven't.
story and then I'll tell you if I have heard it.
In college, my first school, Transylvania University, the
Were they
was in a-
served Count Chocula for breakfast?
they should have. They I was in a fraternity. Anyway, there was a guy in my fraternity. I don't know how we figured this out or who figured it out, but point of the story is he loved grape nuts. He would eat grape nuts all the time. I'm like, this is just disgusting. So he'd have a bowl of grape nuts. So one night, we're all sitting at the fraternity table in the cafeteria, and someone's like, dude, I won't say his name. Dude, do your trick with your grape nuts. So he pulls his shirt off, and he squeezes his nipple and lactates into his grape nuts. He could lactate a stream.
No! No!
You had no idea that's where that was going, did you?
I've clearly not heard this terrible story. As
He
a
could-
woman who is breastfed, I find that somehow horrifying.
I mean, he had to push real hard, and his breast was red as
It also
a
reminds
beet.
me of Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
Right?
It was the
He's like,
trippiest thing, though. He could.
I've got nipples, Greg. Could you milk me? Remember that line?
Yeah.
Apparently
Yeah.
you could.
I mean,
Because I think he then
men
says, I
lactate.
think any mammal or something can
Yeah,
lactate.
can lactate.
Oh my.
Isn't that crazy?
That is
Yeah. It was just like,
disturbing.
yeah. Well, then we all ate it.
You
No, I'm kidding.
didn't like grape nuts,
We
Jason.
didn't do that.
Oh, gosh.
It was the initiation into the fraternity.
Well, that was a really great story to end on.
Yeah.
And
Glad you enjoyed
I appreciate
those nuts.
the highs and the lows that you just took us on in this personal life journey. Thank you for sharing it all.
Hey, it's all balance, right? We
Yeah.
get really serious and deep, and then we can lactate into grape nuts.
But let's
beautiful
not,
life.
actually. Let's not.
On episode 32.
Oh, goodness. Well, thanks for sharing all of it.
Thanks
I
for the fun
guess.
questions, Shelby.
All right.
Yeah, we'll interview you too.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vocal Lab podcast. Ready to join the top ranks of the music industry? Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more first-class conversations that make the extraordinary your new ordinary. Until next time, keep striving for your top note.